Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of College and Career Pathways, where every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we provide you with information on various colleges and universities, financial aid resources, technical schools, skilled trade professions, and career readiness skills, all designed to help you make the best career decisions possible. I'm Toni Cureton, your host, and we are back with Michigan Schools and Government Credit Union, and they are continuing in our financial literacy series. And today we are going to be talking about understanding how to use credit cards. Colleen, welcome back. We're so glad to have you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Glad to be back. We are talking about credit cards today. Unfortunately, I do not have a video. This one's going to be a little different from the standard formula that we usually have, but this is one of my favorites, credit cards. So let me share my screen. Okay. All right, so you're good. You can see that, Toni?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So what we're going to look at today is we're going to look at what is credit, like what is actually the definition of the word, what are some different types of credit, what are some different credit card specific terms that you'll need to know, and making credit card payments. Once you have it, then what? So it's a lot of information, but there's a lot of charts that break it down into hopefully understandable pieces. What is credit? Now, if you were all sitting in front of me, I'd really try to get somebody to verbalize it and put it into words, because it can be difficult for people. Short version, buy now, pay later. The longer version that's important to know is the ability to obtain goods and services before payment upon the trust of payment later. That it's not just, oh, it's buy now, pay later. Well, I'll just get the car now and pay later. I'll just sign up, close on a house, and I'll get a job and pay for it later. You can't make that assumption that it's always going to be there. So having credit means having the ability to obtain those goods. Credit card, auto loan, student loan, those are just examples of different types of credit. Trying out this new laser pointer today. So any loan can be categorized as either secure or unsecured. And then it can also be categorized as installment or revolving. It's not that important that you remember these terms, but I want to introduce them and get the concepts in mind. What would be the difference between an installment loan and a revolving loan if we're going just by the names alone? Oops, press the wrong one. An installment loan, you pay in installments. It's closed end. Like a car, there's a scheduled end date. It's a 60-month term. You pay this much a month. At the end of your 60th month, you've completely paid off the loan. You are no longer in debt to that creditor. A boat loan, a motorcycle loan. A revolving loan is an open-ended loan. When you say, well, what do you mean open-ended, like a magical purse? Well, think of a credit card. A credit card, you have the ability to borrow as much as your limit is, but you might owe this much now and a different amount next month and a different amount next month. So it changes and it revolves. Even if you owe nothing right now, you pay off your credit card balance. Maybe in a few months from now, you will have to owe something again. So those payments are based on a percentage of the total amount, because that total amount is what changes. Whereas an installment loan, it does not. I have a little chart here to tell the to help tell the difference for secured loans and unsecured. Secure, think safe, safe and secure, such as an auto loan, a home loan, motorcycle, RV, those are all secured loans. Examples of unsecured loan: a student loan, a credit card, a personal loan for taking your family on vacation or paying for a wedding or getting the kitchen redone. What's the difference? What classifies something as a unsecured loan versus a secured? And some of the standard answers I get are, well, one is more expensive, one is more important that you pay on time. The difference is a secured loan requires collateral, a tangible physical item, a car, a boat, a house. There's actually an item attached to the loan, meaning if you do not pay that loan, that item gets repossessed, that item gets foreclosed on, taken back. So it's a little safer for the lender because you're kind of risky. I don't know if I trust you, but even if I don't trust you, even if you don't make your payments, I still get to take your house back and try to sell it for what's left. Because there is an item attached to it, it's usually cheaper, a lower interest rate, a shorter term. 5 years is pretty standard. If you're buying a super expensive RV or boat, you might get like a 7-year. An unsecured loan, such as a student loan, such as a credit card, there's no tangible object attached to it. Now, you might buy a tangible object with your credit card. You might buy a bottle of water, but you're probably going to get a tank of gas and a piece of pizza and pay for a haircut. How does someone repossess those things? You can't take my haircut back. You can't repossess a student loan. You can't, negate my degree. So because there isn't that item attached, unsecured loans are harder to get, more difficult. You have to show that you're much more responsible. You have much more of a history. They're higher in interest rate, which means they're more expensive. If you're borrowing, let's say $10,000 for an auto loan, you might pay, 1.99%. If you're getting $10,000 in an unsecured loan, you might pay 12 or 13%, right? It's because there isn't that item attached. Do you still have to pay them back? Absolutely. You have to pay all of your bills back, but just how they're classified. But what we're going to focus on today are credit cards. Credit cards, a tool or a trap. And again, if you were in front of me, I'd really like to hear your opinion. What do you know about credit cards? What do you think you know? What have you heard? Some kids are, I can't wait to get a credit card, or I'm already on my dad's credit card. Or my parents told me never to get a credit card. Oh, they said to stay away from a credit card, that they're bad. And all of those things are right and wrong, right? Credit cards are both. I use the example of a car. Is a car a tool or a trap? Well, it's a tool, of course it's a tool. It's a car, gets you from A to B, it gets you to work, it gets you to school, it's reliable, keeps you warm or cools you down, keeps you safe. It seems like a tool. Well, it is if you use it correctly, if you know how to drive. But what if you don't know how to drive? What if you're 14, or maybe you lived in a city your whole life and now you moved to Michigan and you've never driven a car before, and you go buy a car and you're like, I can figure this out. I mean, steering wheel, turn, gas, brake. Yeah, I got this. Well, that person can probably get down the street, get around, learn to, drive. But is it good? No, they will, I'm sure, be breaking multiple, besides not having license, speeding or traffic laws, stop signs. getting into accidents, hurting themselves, hurting people, causing damage. It could be a very dangerous weapon if you don't know what you're doing with it. You don't understand, and you're not looking for certain things, and you don't know certain rules. In the same way, I don't want you to think of credit cards as a terrible thing you're going to stay away from, but I also don't want you to think, oh, I can't wait, there's that extra money there. You can get a Lamborghini, you can, take the subway. You just have to know how to drive stick. You got to know how the Metro card works. You got to know what you're doing. So that's what we're talking about today, is getting your intro before you get a credit card. What are some things you need to know, right? Because you're not going to learn it afterward. You don't get the car and then say, okay, now I'm going to figure out how to drive. You want to learn the credit card stuff before you get it. Choosing a credit card. This is a big step. All credit cards are not equal. When someone says credit card, there's a universal term for, oh, they're putting it on a charge card in which they're going to pay later. That's the commonality when someone says credit card or charge card. Oh, is this fuzzy? Oh, there we go. It's a little better. But other than that, they can be very different. And when you're young, when you're inexperienced, you're uninformed, just you haven't had the experience, you might sign up for one that your friend has just because they have it. You might sign up for the one that the guy gives you a free t-shirt to sign up for, or you've been getting mail about this certain type of credit card. So sure, I'll get this one. How do I pick? I'll just pick the first one that shows up. Those are not good ways to pick a credit card for anybody, for young, old, medium, for anybody. And I admit, I tell, and Toni knows, my first credit card when I was 18 years old, I wasn't interested in a credit card. I wasn't looking for a credit card, but this guy had free t-shirts to give away. And he's like, well, these are all the different designs that you can pick from, for your credit card. I'm like, oh, leopard print. Oh, I can get leopard print, like animal print credit card. And I just thought that was so cool. So sure, I'll sign up. And that was the reason I had that card. Did I know any of the things we're about to talk about? No. Did he know that? Was he really hoping that I wasn't going to ask any questions, that I was just going to get excited and sign up? Yeah, that's probably exactly what he's hoping for. So you aren't going to fall for that, right? You aren't going to just sign up for the card because it has a snowboarder on it, or sign up for the PlayStation card because I get 5% off any PlayStation purchase. Well, that's great. Well, there's a lot more questions to ask before you decide, is this the right card for you? Delta Sky Miles, we'll come back to that. A lot of people go right for a rewards card thinking, I want to earn rewards right away. All right, we're backing up. We're backing up. What are the basics? Oh, there we go. Your credit limit is the most you can spend. Your first credit card will most likely have a $500 limit, meaning each month or each billing cycle, you cannot owe more than $500. You can spend $300 in January and you still have $200 you can spend in February. If you spend $500 in January, you can't spend anything in February until you pay some of that off. So it's a continual 500, but in each single month, you cannot owe more than 500. Now, over time, that number increases, right? You get older, you earn more, you have to start paying more, you have more expenses, you're buying things. These days, oh my God, $500 doesn't seem to go very far anymore. Plane tickets, and I'm going to need a $1,000 limit or $2,000 or $5,000 limit. That'll come later. That's fine. You'll get that. You do not need that now. And I offer, what if I could offer you a a $2,000 credit card instead of a $500 credit card? Wouldn't you prefer that? And there's always a few students who are like, yeah, of course, that'd be great. You don't want that. You don't need to spend $2,000 a month or have the option to really go out and spend $2,000, because I doubt you have $2,000 on you or are going to make $2,000 in a short period of time to pay it back. So don't put yourself in a position, oh, well, this is an emergency. Oh, just this one time. Oh, I forgot. Just start small. Start small. You can get higher as you go. Balance is how much you owe. Because it's unsecured, because it's a revolving payment, you can owe a different amount each month. And minimum payment, that's what makes a credit card very different from a debit card. A debit card, the money comes out right away. With a credit card, you get to choose how much you would like to contribute. Where you go to those museums and they're like, oh, it's donation only. But we suggest a $35 donation. And you're like, geez, really? I'll put a few dollars in here. Your credit card is saying, I'd like you to pay $5,000, but you know what? You can just put in a few dollars if you want to just contribute a few dollars. They're offering you a minimum payment, a small amount where you can just let the rest of it carry over. Now, the APR, the interest rate, this is where a lot of people, they gravitate towards, they get stuck at. The most important thing, the only important thing is the interest rate. A very important thing is the interest rate, how much interest you are being charged by letting money remain on the bill. And we're going to look at some examples for that. So don't worry. If you are paying 3% on what you have left, well, then you're paying a lot less than if you're paying 15%, or if you're paying 20% or 25%. I mean, that's a pretty huge difference, right? If I had to pay 25% of every dollar versus 1% of every dollar. So yes, that number is very important. You want a low number. But also your next question should always be, well, is that a fixed rate or a variable rate? It has adjustable here. Adjustable means fixed. It's an interchangeable. Adjustable is mostly for mortgages. Variable you'll hear for credit cards. What's the difference? A fixed stays the same, like the anchor at the bottom, whatever it is today, whatever you're signing up for, 12%, 15%, 5%, that's what it's going to stay. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, in the contract, this interest rate is going to stay the same. A variable rate, like the water level here, can go up and down. Now, first thought, oh, it'll go down. Oh, I'll get a variable because it'll go down. In your situation, it will not go down. You may get lucky and have your rate decreased, but that certainly will not be anywhere near the first few years of you getting a credit card, right? Offering variable rates to young people, and I mean young people up to 25. Well, this is a great interest rate, 12%. You're like, okay, yeah, that sounds great. Variable, maybe it'll go down, but instead it slowly keeps getting a little bit higher and higher and higher and higher. And you notice, man, at 20%, 21%, I thought this was 12%. Well, you have no control over that. In the beginning, again, when you're getting started, look for a fixed rate card. They are out there. You will get offered a lot of variable rates. Look for that little V. Look for the words fixed or variable. I guarantee you, if you get variable, it will go up. So we have right now an example of kind of a beginning payment structure. So this person They got a brand new credit card, 2023, January, brand new. A 19.8% APR, 19.8% interest. Now, if I were applying for this credit card personally, that's way too high for me. That's way too high. I want my card down early teen single digits because I've got a few decades of history. If I were 18 and I didn't have any history because I'm literally 18, 19.8 is not terrible. You know, you're not going to start at the very top. Some places will try to start you at the, 27%, but 19.8 isn't terrible. It's kind of standard for a brand new credit card. So let's say this person gets into some sort of car accident and they decide to put $2,000 worth of repair to the repair shop on their credit card. Well, I can't pay for it right now. I'll pay it off over time. They get a bill at the end of January. Dear Penny, please pay $40. And you're looking like, oh, wow, really? $40? That's it? Well, sure. Yeah, I can pay $40. In February, dear Penny, thank you for your payment. Please pay another $40. March, dear Penny, thank you for your payment. Please pay another $40, and over again. By May, you know when the payment's coming, you're paying early, you're looking for the mail, you're really getting this credit card thing down. You're real proud of yourself. Okay, you haven't done anything wrong. Things are going perfectly fine. But you happen to sit and look at these numbers and you realize, well, I've contributed, I've paid 40, I've paid $200. But the amount that I owe is only $68 less than what I started with. Well, how does that happen? If you're looking at your statements, $7 is paying your debt and $33 is going to interest. That's a lot. You've basically thrown away $150 in a few months. Well, what if you don't notice? You're getting this thing right. Nobody's telling you you're doing anything wrong. You're paying on time. Credit card company loves you. They have no reason to point this out. It would take 9 years to pay it off. And worse than that, it would cost over $2,000, more than the original purchase, in wasted money. So out of pocket, you'd be spending over $4,000 for a $2,000 repair. When you're done paying for that $2,000 repair, it costs you $4,200. That's the situation where your parents are saying, stay away from credit cards. Credit cards are bad. That's the exact situation you do not want to find yourself in, where the interest is just growing out of control and you're paying more in interest than you are borrowing in the first place. Okay, let's say instead of just getting an okay interest rate, you did some comparison shopping. You looked up some credit unions, MSGCU, maybe Genesis, Lake Trust. You guys are all over the state, so I know there's credit unions all over the state. Our credit card interest rate for the youth visa is 12.75 fixed. So that's what you would be eligible for. That's very uncommon. If you were to do the exact same thing, make $40 payments on a $2,000 balance, it would take 6 years, but you would only pay $868 in interest. And that is that is less than half. You did exactly the same thing and you pay less than half the interest. That's why that number is very important. Well, is 25 really that much bigger than 22? Well, is 19 really that much bigger than 12? And it's those 0.8s and 0.75s that do matter. I mean, that speaks for itself, this huge interest difference. Now, $800 is still an awful lot. I mean, that's almost half. That means I'm spending almost half of the payment on just wasted money. But what do? I've been making my $40 payments and I'm stuck, and I feel like I'm just going to be stuck in debt, and it just keeps getting higher and higher. And this is where a lot of people get stuck. And it's a terrible place to be in. If you are only able, perhaps you have a debt of, I don't know, $20,000, and your minimum payment is $300, and you can only make that minimum payment. This is the worst place you can be in. It's the most expensive place you can be in. So how do we avoid it, right? How do we stay out? Pay more than the minimum. That's it. Just pay more than the minimum. The minimum is designed, it's only 3%, 2% of the total. If I'm asking you to pay 2%, but I'm charging you 19%, I mean, you don't even need to get a calculator. You're like, those numbers don't add up. If you were to pay $100 a month, so not that much of a difference, $60 more, one work shift, one night of babysitting, $60 more. It's 2 years and just a few $100. Even for the higher interest rate, it's still less than $500. And with a good interest rate, $260, is it worth paying an extra $260 for me to get the car fixed today and then be able to go back to work and school instead of having to wait and save up? Yeah, you know what it is. It's worth $200. Is it worth $500? Is it worth $800? Is it worth $2,000? No, right? Think of the repair shop, right? The repair shop did exactly the same work on each car, on each of these 4 examples, right? It was exactly the same $2,000. But because it was on their credit card instead of just taken out of their checking account, excuse me, these 4 examples, or these 4 people, ended up paying very different total amounts, right? Just because you're spending $2,000 on the repair, you should be really conscious of how you're paying that off. You should shop around. Maybe it's $3,000 here, maybe it's $1,500 here, but just as important as how much the $2,000 is to fix it is how long is it going to take you to pay it off? How fast can you pay it off? How much can you contribute? And for math purposes, they use the same amount every month. You do not have to pay the same amount every month. You can pay $100 this month, $300 next month, $75 the month after that, $250 the month after. So ideally, as much as possible. Reading your credit card statement. This is an example of what a credit card statement would look like. Read your statement. Don't just, oh, how much do I owe? Payment due $24. Okay, I'll pay that. I got to admit, that's easy. You look at the bill. How much do I owe? Let me pay it. But this is very important. How much is the actual balance? Wow, I owe $1,400. I'm definitely not going to pay $24. I'm going to pay, as much as, hopefully $400, a few $100s, but I'm certainly not going to pay $24. Make sure, okay, I know what the due date is. Yep, account number. Go through all of the transactions. Make sure they're all yours. Right? If it's your debit card and you're checking it every day on your phone, you're probably going to notice if something, if money is missing. If someone's using your credit card number, you may not know until you get the monthly bill. And drugstore, well, was that you or was that someone else? You have to be able to identify, are these my purchases? Drugstore, yeah, on that day, 17, yeah, I got contact solution. That sounds about right. Make sure you're going through. Now, it's not going to be really specific. It might say like gas station and you'll have, or drugstore. So you might have to call and check. Go ahead and do that. I had a situation where it said something Somerset, like, $30 or at Somerset. And then I didn't buy anything at Somerset, and call up the credit union. Well, I didn't buy anything at Somerset. Can you tell me more? What was this purchase? Oh, it was $30 of gas from the BP at Big Beaver and Crooks right by Somerset Mall. Oh, yeah, I did get gas. Oh, okay. All right. Well, that makes sense. All right. And then everything's fine. There's no problem in that. I wanted to make sure. That didn't sound like something I bought, but a little more research. Oh, okay. Yep. I admit it. That was mine. It might have a parent company name. It might have, an out of state name. Just make sure you're looking through, because if you miss it, and then maybe now it's, a month has gone by, 2 months have gone by until you notice fraud, it's not that likely you're going to get that fraud taken care of as much as if you notice right away. Your credit card statement will have more information on it down here. You want to look at the interest rate. Is the interest rate the same? If it's a fixed rate, make sure you're checking it's the same. If it's variable, see if it's going up. Notice how much did I pay in interest as for this month. Since I paid a bill, since that last time, how much interest has accrued? Maybe it's $6, maybe it's $30, maybe it's $150. But you want to look at all of these different pieces of your credit card statement every time it shows up. What's on here? How much does it add up to? Okay, I got that refund that I called about. Wow, my interest rate is going up. I'm going to call and ask them about that. We're not going to change it. So some tips for your credit card. Again, each transaction with your credit card is a loan. It's a mini loan. They're all little 30-day loans. So anything you buy, if you're saying, oh, I don't have money for pizza, I guess I'll put it on the credit card. Keep in mind, you're taking out a little loan for that piece of pizza. Do pay for things with your regular budget spending money, your checking account, what you've earned, what you tangibly have. Your credit cards should be for an emergency fund. Right now, getting started, getting your first credit cards, gaining experience, learning how to make payments on time, pay more than the minimum. Just use your credit cards for that emergency. My glasses broke. I switched classes. I need to buy a new textbook. Someone stole my catalytic converter. There's all kinds of different things that can come up. It's there as your emergency. You hit a pothole, you need to get a new tire. So don't use it for that pizza and the ice cream and those things. Don't pretend your credit card is extra income. If you earn $500 a week and you have a credit card with $2,000 limit, that doesn't mean you have an additional $2,000 to spend. You're using the same 500 in that 2,000. So it's not extra. Don't use your credit card to buy just extravagant purchases. I want one. I've never been able to get one. And now that I have a credit card, I can finally do it. So I'm going to get it. Or, well, I'm going to get it just because I can. Well, just because you can do something doesn't necessarily mean you should, right? Just because you can afford to buy a new fridge doesn't mean you really should. Maybe you should leave that available for the next family emergency. The car's been acting up, probably going to need some work soon. Maybe hold off on those extravagant items. Do not postpone saving because you have a credit card. Your credit card should be for emergencies, should be used in times of emergency, but it does not replace an emergency fund, a savings account, rainy day fund. the two completely separate things. That is, you use your rainy day fund to pay the credit card. Or hopefully you don't have to use the credit card because you have the rainy day. They're two completely different things. Key takeaways I want you to leave with today: credit cards are not created equal. Ask questions. Is this a fixed rate or a variable rate? What's the maximum I can spend? What other fees are there? Well, there's going to be a late fee. Is it a $50 fee or is it a $25 fee? Do they assess, do they, put the fee on there at midnight if it's not paid by the 1st? Or do they give you like a 5-day grace period and then they give you the late fee? It's different for each card. I mentioned rewards cards earlier. Most rewards cards, as a rule, have an annual fee, which is literally that, just a once a year fee that they will automatically put on the card just for the use of it, just for having it. Even if you don't buy anything, you still have to pay this annual fee. The intention being, you use this card so much and you earn so many rewards that you are earning more than you spent on the fee, right? It's a $250 annual fee, but it allows me to get free baggage every time I travel, and I've traveled for work 6 times this year, so it's definitely paid for itself. Be careful and be aware of rewards cards. PlayStation, if you're going to get 5% off your PlayStation purchase, is great. But if it's $200 a year just to have the card, or even $100 a year just to have the card, are you really is that 5% going to be worth it? Is it worth having that reward to pay that much? As you get older, as you have more expenses, some people travel a lot, some people need a lot of gas, some people, big corporations, have corporate cards. Depends what the card is used for. Right now, you're getting started. It's tempting to pay the minimum. I understand. I know, holding that $100 in your hand and saying, well, I can only pay 40 and I can keep this 60 for this weekend. I mean, there's really nothing. No, put the whole 100, pay the whole 100 towards the credit card. It will do you much better in the end, I promise. Big, big, big circle here. You will pay no interest ever if you pay off the balance in total each month. The interest rate is for balances that carry over. If you spend $300 in January and send them a check for $300 at the end of the month, and then spend $250 in February and send a check for $250, and spend $400 in March and then send $400 at the end of March, you have used this card, you have taken out these 30-day loans, and you have paid the agreed upon purchase price upon the due date, and you haven't paid a cent of interest. So credit cards can be a huge tool. You don't have to carry any cash on you. You can buy everything in a credit card and just pay one big giant bill if you have enough money for it, if you know for sure you have enough money for it. Know what your credit card terms are before you sign up for it. Use your credit card responsibly. Late payments, missed payments, that all hurts your reputation. It's going to increase your interest rate. And the more responsible you are over time, the more opportunities will become available to you. And we'll certainly get into that more when we get into credit reports and scores. But as far as getting a credit card, think, ask questions, compare. what am I going to use it for? When am I going to use it? Where am I getting the income to pay it off? You know, what are the types of emergencies that might be okay to use it for? Am I going to carry it on me? You know, just learning that self-control of having the credit card on you and not using it. Learn to not use it. You know, this is all stuff you got to work on. All right. Are there any questions that you can think of, Ms. Cureton, or from the audience?
You guys, you can either type in your question or comment, or you can unmute and speak freely.
I don't have a question, but just wanted to say thank you.
Oh, thank you.
It is our pleasure.
Of course. It's just if you can find a way to learn to not use it, that would be great.
Right. It's don't be afraid of it, but learn how to use it first. Learn how to use it so you're comfortable.
It's that self-control that we need. Yes.
Right.
Just think in terms of, if I cannot afford to pay it off in 30 days, then maybe I ought not to put it on my credit and just
True.
save up the money for it. Because again, it really does take discipline to not be swayed by the, shiny things in Macy's and the, ads online to order this, that, or the other. It really does take discipline, but you just have to remember, if I can't afford to pay for it in full in 30 days, then I should just wait. Because as Colleen explained, that interest is like, and now I've seen APRs as high as 31%. So think about that. If you're paying 31% in interest, oh my God, that's almost like 2-3 times the item that you bought.
Correct.
Yeah. And it's if you don't know what you don't know, if someone tells you this is a great deal, this is a good rate, no annual fee, okay, sure, I guess. Ask questions, don't sign anything unless you completely understand. We're getting into things you sign later as loans come. Don't sign anything unless you completely understand what's going on. So
Correct.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Well, you guys, thank you for attending, and thank you, Colleen, so much. Great presentation as always. If there aren't any more questions or comments, we will wrap this up and bring this to a close, and I will see you all next time. Everybody have a great day.
thank
You
you.
too.
Bye now.
Okay.
So Colleen, this is our last one for this month. I will be sending you out your spreadsheet next week.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you. Perfect.
Thanks. Have a great weekend.
You
Not
too.
weekend. Have a
Bye.
great week.
Great week.
And I'll-
Yes.
And I'll see you next month.
All the way around.
Bye now.